Latin America, emerging markets are a very cash-rich economy. There's a lot going on in cash. So the question is, how do we bridge the gap between, on the one hand, the local cash market, and on the other hand, this money in the cloud that's Bitcoin? How do we build those bridges in between these two worlds?
So what most people might not realize is that the United States government has been doing quite a bit of work in Africa dealing with mobile payments. And one of the projects that they started working with was how to essentially take money on phones, just like credits, and get people to be able to use that within their home villages. One of the projects that they did is that they basically set up almost like, think of, has anyone ever gone overseas and you've ever had to refill your phone credits and you go to these small little stores? Anyone been? Okay. Anyways, so you have women who are inside these stores, and essentially they serve as an exchange for cash for credits on the phone. Except in this case, the credits are being used are essentially money. And so structures like that are already being set up and being tested overseas, at least in Nigeria and also some other places further down in South Africa. So I really see that as being a great way for there to be a leap from going from a cash-driven society to one that's a little bit more mobile, more cryptocurrency driven.
Interesting.
I would say there are 4 factors that need to happen for us to see real mainstream adoption happening in the emerging countries. The first has nothing to do with Bitcoin, but has to do with smart phones becoming cheap enough for emerging countries to start using them in large numbers. The reason is that at the moment the carriers are locking down the feature phones that people are using and basically making it impossible to use anything which isn't proprietary to the carriers. And so we need to see the network effects that become available through an open system like Bitcoin through smartphones. The second thing that we would need to see is we would need to see adoption by thought leaders and primarily financial leaders within those countries. Now this is happening, and it's exactly the same pattern that we've been seeing in the Western world, but they are somewhat behind in that respect because this kind of effect is emanating out of primarily the United States and Europe. The third thing that we would need to be able to see is, I think, a technology which is currently missing from our technology stack, which is some way for us to denominate a stable currency which people are familiar with on a Bitcoin-like network. That's coming, probably in the form of colored coins or master coin. People will be able to have pesos which actually are held on the Bitcoin protocol, but it's a very complicated thought to hold Bitcoin, and if you're buying groceries with it, it's too volatile, and for the foreseeable future it will remain too volatile. And then finally, I think the fourth factor that we would need to be able to see is we would need to start seeing either import or export become possible for these countries. So people be getting paid in Bitcoin by, if they're being paid by Westerners to do outsourcing, or being able to import commodities using Bitcoin. Those are the 4 factors, and I think we are going to start seeing a convergence of them over the next 24 months.